But let's start with Marines who are right now moving in to guard federal buildings in Los Angeles after 4 days of chaos and violence. These scenes have been despicable and embarrassing for this world-famous city. American flags set alight, cars torched and looting. Masked men were filmed throwing rocks and fireworks, while activists occupied a freeway, lit fires and caused total disarray. This is the very picture of lawlessness and mass havoc.
Cars on fire and tensions inflamed. Emotions stoked by the president's decision to deploy the military here. The Mexican flag is flying and anger directed at ICE, the Immigrations and Customs Enforcement Agency, after a series of raids.
And the mayhem erupted on Friday in response, as you just heard, to a small ICE operation to deport illegal immigrants involved in money laundering and tax evasion, along with other criminals. And it escalated from there. First, 2,000 National Guards took to the streets to help keep the peace. That number was then doubled. And now Trump has deployed 700 Marines to help protect the city. But what's been so bizarre about this is the response from Democrat politicians and much of the media. Instead of shutting down the crime and telling the protesters to get into line, the blame is squarely directed toward the President of the United States. Yep, the Democrats and the media are blaming the deployment of the National Guards for the escalation in violence. Here's Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass saying that the extra manpower isn't needed.
I was trying to make the case that the National Guard was not needed here. I was trying to make the case that if the National Guard came here, it would be a provocative move, and it would be like a deliberate attempt to create disorder and chaos in our city.
So instead of shutting down the protests in her own city, the mayor is telling the LAPD and the National Guard that they're not needed. It's a wild idea of restoring order by asking the police, the law enforcement, to stand down. Kamala Harris has also accused Trump of provoking chaos by deploying the National Guard. She said on social media, in addition to the recent ICE raids in Southern California and across our nation, it is part of the Trump administration's cruel, calculated agenda to spread panic and division. And then, completely absurdly, she even claimed the protests have been peaceful. She said protest is a powerful tool, essential in the fight for justice. And as the LAPD mayor and governor have noted, demonstrations in defence of our immigrant neighbours have been overwhelmingly peaceful. I mean, just wow, that is a ludicrous claim that's easily fact-checked as being 100% wrong. Kamala Harris only needs to turn on the news to see just how peaceful the protests have been.
Yeah, call you later. Good morning.
Border Czar Tom Homan said it was wrong to suggest these protests were in any way peaceful, and he called out the Californian leadership for sitting on their hands.
I was there the first 2 nights. It was out of control. The city was burning. Governor Newsom did nothing. The mayor did nothing. So President Trump, God bless him, he sent the National Guard in to save property and save lives. And I salute him for doing it.
But this is so highly political that California Governor Gavin Newsom even claims that Trump wants a civil war on the streets of America. And Trump then returned fire by saying the governor is not only grossly incompetent, but he even appeared to suggest that he could be arrested. And that was in response to questions from journalists.
That's not what Trump is after. He's not for peacemaking. He's here for war. He wants a civil war on the streets.
So because Trump is refusing to back down on his decision to deport illegal immigrants, and because he's standing firm on sending in law enforcement, He's now being blamed for inciting violence and abusing power. This is typical. It's not the fault of the rabid mob, but it's Trump's fault for calling in reinforcements to ensure security. Now, the president pledged over and over again to crack down on illegal immigrants. It was a major policy he campaigned on during the presidential election. He couldn't have been clearer about this.
I will stop the criminal invasion of our country, the biggest problem we have right now, and I will bring back the American dream.
So whether you like his policy or not, agree with him or not, he does have a mandate to do this. Foreign editor in The Australian, Greg Sheridan, pointed out today that Barack Obama deported more people than Trump did in his first term. He writes that Obama deported almost 400,000 people. In 2010, he says half had no criminal convictions. And Sheridan writes the Obama administration also took tough action against businesses that knowingly employed illegal aliens. He writes, so it's okay if Obama does it, but a crime against humanity crying to heaven for vengeance if Trump does it. And Sheridan also says that illegal immigration has run beyond the control of democratic politics in the West, and it is a deep crisis in many countries. He writes the conventional centre-left has essentially taken a lawless approach to the issue. And I think that's the core of the problem. That's what's led us to where we are now. Not only is California a sanctuary state, but it's been let down by its own left-leaning, soft-on-crime leadership over such a long period of time that the entire city is in disarray, and it's become, in some cases, in some areas, an unpalatable place to live. The woke agenda has killed it. And it's these conditions that have meant that criminals and protesters don't think they have to obey the law, that it wouldn't be enforced anyway, and that they're within their rights to run riot and loot stores. But of course, the other issue is that while Trump does have a legitimate claim to deport illegal immigrants, as he said he was going to do, we're just seeing constant chaos during his presidency. These riots, the trade tariff uproar, the fight with Elon Musk, the Oval Office spectacle with President Zelensky. It's an administration that seems to thrive on drama. In a world teetering on uncertainty, more stability and calm authority would not just be welcome, but it'd be the smartest move from the president going forward.